Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about Smith & Wesson pistols, and in particular, the VTAC M&P. But let's start off with a bit of a history lesson. Smith & Wesson introduced their 9mm pistols back in the 60s. It was the Model 39, which then evolved into the Model 59, which was stainless steel, and then into the third generation pistol, which I'm holding here. This is a third generation Model 5906. All steel construction, very robust, very reliable, and popular with police. But polymer pistols really started to take off in the 90s, and Smith & Wesson in 1994 introduced the Sigma series of pistols. The Sigma had a polymer frame. Now I don't have a Sigma here unfortunately to show you guys, but it was Smith & Wesson's real first attempt at a mass-produced polymer framed pistol. It met with kind of a lukewarm success in the beginning. It got off to a rocky start. There were some problems with the pistol, but it's evolved into a high-quality pistol, and it's still in production today. But Smith & Wesson wasn't done there. They wanted to compete with the Glock. The Glock series of pistols, by some estimates, have roughly 65% of the police market. And they saw an opportunity there. And that's when they introduced, in 2005, the M&P series of pistols. M&P stands for military police. Now, military and police, that moniker goes back to Smith & Wesson's revolver days when they did dominate the military and police market with their revolvers. They called them M&P pistols. They've carried that moniker over to this pistol, and they've targeted Glock and the police market with this new pistol. Now, this pistol doesn't really share anything in common with the Sigma other than a passing resemblance externally. Internally, it's a completely different pistol, but Smith & Wesson did borrow from its experiences in the Sigma pistol, I should say, and also with the Smith & Wesson Model 99, which was just a rebranded Walther P99. But that gets us to the Vtec. Now you guys have seen reviews of M&P pistols before. I don't want to go into a full review of the M&P pistol. What I want to talk about is this VTEC pistol. Now this VTEC pistol is a little bit different than the standard M&P pistol, which I have here. In that, first of all, you'll notice it has a flat, dark earth finish. The most notable feature, though, are the sights. The sights, the VTAC sights, which stands for Viking Tactics, the VTAC sights are really unique. At first glance, I didn't care for them. And what they are, in essence, is a sight that has both tritium inserts and day glow sights right above the tritium inserts. So you have a total of 6 dots. You have 4 in the rear and 2 in the front, okay? I didn't like it when I first saw it in pictures. I thought, how in the world is that going to work? That's just a convoluted sight picture. I like simple and clean. But then I picked one of the pistols up and took a look at it, and I realized there might be something to this. Now, how the sights work is that the day glow sights glow in broad daylight, a bright green. As the light starts to dim, the tritium starts to glow, the day glow sights go away, and then the tritium glows. The dots for the tritium are just below the day glow sights. So at any given time, under most lighting conditions, you really only have 3 dots, 2 in the rear, 1 in the front. The only difference being is sometimes, depending on light conditions, it's the day glow sights, and the other times when the light's low, it's the tritium sights. It's actually a very clean and simple sight picture, and it hasn't interfered with sight acquisition for me at all. It actually works quite brilliantly. Anyway, let's take a closer look at these sights here real quick, and then let's head out to the range and do some shooting with the pistol with these sights, and I'll give you some final thoughts. All right, so this is the box that the VTAC comes in. Pretty standard stuff as far as M&Ps go. There's your M&P pistol, the replaceable back straps, and 2 magazines. I just have one in the box right now. And then you have a lock, a spent casing, a manual, and a few other goodies inside the box. But let's take a look at that key feature, those sights. Let's take a nice close look here. You can see the VTAC logo, the sword. Very clean looking. And then here we go. Now on top, we have the day glow sight, and just below that are the tritium vials. And there's the front sight. Shooting the Smith & Wesson M&P VTAC is a real pleasure. Now, I just got out here and started firing off a few rounds out of this handgun, and the first few rounds I was having some malfunctions, and the malfunctions were basically stovepipes and the slide wasn't locking all the way to the rear. I was getting the slide overriding some rounds in the magazine. However, and those were the first few rounds I ever fired out of the pistol. I did clean the pistol and lube it with CLP brake free before bringing it to the range today. But those problems seem to have subsided. After about 100 rounds of ammunition, the gun started working properly. As it started to work, it was kicking the brass back into my face, but now it's kicking it off to the right. It just seemed that the pistol needed a little bit of a break-in time. Not quite a fan of the break-in, but it certainly seems to be working just fine now after about 100 rounds fired. Very smooth. Now, my other M&P that I have, the black 9mm, didn't have those issues. Perhaps it has something to do with the texture of this finish. This finish is a little bit different in that when you have it oiled, it will actually, if you have it in a leather holster or something like that, the oil will whisk away into the leather and you'll see dry spotches in the finish. So the finish is a little bit rougher, a little bit more coarse than the standard M&P finish, at least to my feel. However, it is a good looking finish. Now, I have also noticed that some scuffs have started to appear in this finish. I'm not so sure about how durable the finish is. Let's see if you guys can see this. Right there, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, and I'm just nitpicking, but it would certainly appear that it's very easy to scratch or damage this finish a little bit. Now, I noticed when I first took it out of the box that the sharp edges, and they had 2 pistols in stock, but around the sharp edges, it looked like it was wearing already. So holster wear would probably be something that you would be concerned with if you're, obsessive about those types of things with this particular type of finish. I think you'll get some holster wear pretty rapidly with this finish. Anyway, shooting the handguns just like my other M&P, it's very comfortable to shoot. Now, these sights really are nice. I like them. They are very tall, and these dots, let's see if you can see them. See how they're glowing green? Really nice and bright in this daylight. They jump right out at you. It makes for a great sight picture. Let's do a little bit more shooting with the handgun, give you some more thoughts. Okay guys, so we're about 250 rounds down with the M&P VTEC 9. And aside from the first few rounds that we had problems with out of the first 50 rounds or so, where the weapon was malfunctioning, it was stovepiping, it was riding over rounds in the magazine, those issues have gone away after the first 50 rounds or so. So I'm going to go ahead and attribute those malfunctions to just breaking the pistol in. Now with my black M&P 9, which I'm holding here, I've had no such problems with it. Right out of the box, the thing has fired, 1,100, 1,500 rounds without issue. So it's just something this handgun was having problems with, and I'm going to attribute that, I think, to the finish of the handgun. It's a little bit more coarse. It felt a little bit more rough when I was jacking the slide right out of the box. It seems to be a lot smoother now, so I'm going to go ahead and attribute that to the finish of the handgun, the fact that the handgun was new. Now, I am noticing some holster wear on the handgun. If you take a look at the finish here, right around these edges, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm starting to see holster wear along those edges. And that's just from a couple of holsterings. So I'm not really convinced that this finish is going to be all that durable. It seems to me that the finish dries out easily and that it seems to wear around the edges fairly easily. So if you're going to use this as a daily carry a handgun in a holster, I think perhaps you're probably going to want to rethink that, because you're going to start seeing finish wear. My black M&P doesn't seem to have that problem, so it seems to be an issue with this flat dark earth finish. Now the sights, however, I am really liking. Look at those sights glow in the daylight. Nice and bright green. They look awesome. Here they are next to the standard M&P. Here's the VTEC here, and here's the M&P standard. Look at those dots glow. See that green jump out? Sights set just a little bit higher, but they really stand out. They contrast nicely. And I also like the tritium. As you could see earlier in the video, the tritium works very well. So is it worth the extra $100 that this handgun commands? Well, the sights are worth $100 at least. And these sights I'm very fond of. Finish, not so much. I'd love to have these sights on my black M&P, which is moving up my ranks in terms of carry handguns. I've had about 1,100, 1,500 rounds through it. As it passes the 2,000 round mark, I'm really seriously considering carrying that over my Glock 19. This handgun I probably wouldn't carry because of the finish issues. However, I do want those sights. Now, the sights do set taller, and here's a Galco holster. But even though they set taller, I don't have a problem with the handgun fitting into standard M&P holsters. That's a Galco leather holster. And this is a Praetor Defense Kydex holster. And again, it fits just fine in there. But this is also the holster that's causing most of the finish wear. Anyway, it seems to do really well with standard holsters, so I don't think you're going to have a problem. Now, I only have 2 holsters here to test, but outside of that, I think these sights are going to be just fine in most M&P holsters. If you guys have any questions about this handgun, feel free to swing by our Facebook page, and you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/military arms. We also have an online discussion forum, and that online discussion forum is great for posting pictures, chatting back and forth with other members of the community, posting videos. Swing by and check out that new discussion board. You can find us on that discussion board at www.militaryarmschannel.com. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.